अस्तु तर्हि कार्यक्रमस्य अस्मिन् सत्रे भवतां समेषाम् अत्र हार्दं स्वागतं वर्तते। अद्यतनीयः अस्माकम् अतिथयः सन्ति डॉक्टर सुनील के.एस. महाभागाः। इमे आचार्याः बेंगलुरुस्थ जैन महाविद्यालये संस्कृत विभागाध्यक्षत्वेन कार्यरताः सन्ति। एतेषां सन्दर्भे विस्तृतं विवेचनं भवेत् इति पूर्वमेव अस्माकं कृते निर्दिष्टम् अस्ति यत् यदा एतेषां व्याख्यानं भविष्यति तदा स्वयमेव भवन्तः ज्ञास्यन्ति इति धिया कालातिक्रमणं मा भवेत्। अतः साकल्येन एकतन्त्रेण एतेषां स्वागतं व्याहृत्य अपि च अत्र ये प्रशिक्षु जनाः सन्ति तेषां स्वागतं विधाय साक्षादेव व्याख्यानं प्रशिक्षणं च भवेत् इति विनिवेदये। तत्र नूनमेव संस्कृतभाषायां भविष्यति, तत्र विशिष्य आङ्ग्लभाषा हिन्दीभाषा भाषां स्वीकृत्य अपि भवेत् मिश्रितभाषारूपे। यतोहि अत्र संस्कृतज्ञाः तु सन्ति एव, केचन एतादृशाः अपि सन्ति ये संस्कृतं नैव जानन्ति इति कृत्वा सुनील महाभागाः अत्र समायोजनं करिष्यन्ति। अस्तु, आचार्य सुनील महाभागाः विनिवेद्यन्ते अत्र स्वकीयं प्रशिक्षणम् अत्र आरब्धं कर्तुम् इति। नमस्ते।
नमस्ते। श्रूयते खलु?
श्रूयते श्रूयते।
योऽन्तः प्रविश्य मम वाचमिमां प्रसुप्तां सञ्जीवयति अखिलशक्तिधरस्वधाम्ना अन्यांश्च हस्तचरणश्रवणत्वकादीन् प्राणान्नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यम्। भवति यदनुभावादेडमूकोऽपि वाग्मी जडमतिरपि जन्तुर्जायते प्राज्ञमौलिः सकलवचनचेतो देवता भारती सा मम वचसि निधत्तां सन्निधिं मानसे च। आपादमौलिपर्यन्तं गुरूणाम् आकृतिं स्मरेत् तेन विघ्नाः प्रणश्यन्ति सिद्ध्यन्ति च मनोरथाः। तपस्वाध्याय शुश्रूषा कृष्णपूजारतं मुनिं विश्वेशविष्टदं वन्दे परिव्राट् चक्रवर्तिनं। श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। परमगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओम्। I am highly indebted to all the organizers who have organized this wonderful program of this mega order, and much more anything. I am seeing so many bright young faces, many scholars who are from different background. So what else is a greater assurance than this? With this brief introduction, I'll be giving a very, very brief summary of my deliberations, because all of us thought we had to give more time to you. So whatever questions we have, please ask, because our tradition has come only after the questions. We have a Upanishad by name Prashnopanishad, Shat Prashna Upanishad. And also, we are not arrogant in answering, no pride, nothing. Very honest way of seeking. As you all know that in Bhagavad Gita it is clearly said, Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. That means inquiry with respect, inquiry with earnestness. And so we should not be hesitant to ask any question. At the same time, being very honest to accept the good answers and critically evaluate them. Therefore, Mitrani, Adya Aham Angla Samskrita Madhyamena Matkrite Pradatta Vishayam Adhikritya Kinchit Atra Prastotum Aham Ishte. मत्कृते प्रदत्त विषयस्तावत् प्राचीनैः प्रोक्तं धर्मस्वरूपम् प्राचीनैः प्रोक्तं धर्मस्वरूपम् इति. That means I'm just going to sum up the concept called dharma, and I would like to try to clarify certain things that which are misinterpreted, which are presented wrongly in the society. Therefore, in next 45 to 50 minutes, I'm just going to sum up the concept called dharma, how this dharma is having different facets, and what is dharma, and according to different philanthropists, how this dharma is practiced, and according to our Sanskrit literature, etymologically or technically, how we are going to present or put forth the concept called dharma. So all these things I'm just going to sum up in next 45 to 50 minutes. So you can consider this deliberation as critical conservatism. It is not a blind belief. Let me tell you one thing, Sanatana Dharma is an antidote of blind belief, because the very word dharma, which is going to be discussed now in my deliberation, dharma will take an important role. Dharma itself is not a belief. I shall first give some clarification regarding certain basic features of Sanatana Dharma, how it is constructively, positively different from the rest of the religions that you can know by yourself, because religion means it is not a belief. Religion means doctrine or unquestioned acceptance. See, nowadays everything is accepted as it is. The form that is the paramount of importance, form itself is absolute. If you want to give an exam to want and to have an example, I can say, see, for example, if a bangle is seen, a gold bangle, gold means in the form of a bangle itself. That is so, the form itself is taken into supremacy, but we take gold can exist in any form, and yet it will be gold. Therefore, the chemical properties of gold are far more important than the physical properties. Like that, Sanatana Dharma goes to the root of the issues. Mitrani, adya vayamatra upasthitaah smah dharmasya swarupam avagantum. Koyam dharmaha. Itohi ऐहिक आमुष्मिक फल प्राप्ति मानवानां कृते विद्यमान काचन गतिः इति तत्र निर्णीयते. एक एव सुहृद्धर्मः निधने अपि अनुयाति यः शरीरेण समं नाशं सर्वमन्यद्धि गच्छति इति भगवता व्यासदेवेन तत्र प्रोक्तम् अस्ति. अर्थात् अस्य अभिप्रायः एवं वर्तते, धर्मः मानवस्य श्रेयसाधकः, सुख संप्रापकः, पारमार्थ सिद्धये द्योतकः, ऐहिक आमुष्मिकार्थस्य संवाहकश्च भवति इति. अयं धर्मः यस्मिन् शास्त्रे प्रतिपादितो वर्तते तद्भवति धर्मशास्त्रम्. धार्मिक परंपरायां सुविस्तृते भारतवर्षे धर्मस्य वा धर्मशास्त्रस्य च महती प्रतिष्ठा वर्तते. Let me tell you, in the ancient Hindu way of life, dharma is regarded as one of the most important goals of human life. Human life can be translated as Purusharthas. As you all know that there are 4 Purusharthas: Dharma, Artha, Kama and Moksha. So amongst these 4, Dharma is the very first and foremost Purushartha. So the expression Dharma is derived from the etymological root Dhr. That means that which binds or supports or upholds. In the present context, Dharma stands for righteousness, for it serves the purpose of a regulative principle. Dharma has been the foundation for good life, and the Indian culture regards it an underlying principle for all the achievements in the areas of human inquiry, such as science, philosophy, literature, arts, morality, sociality, polity, religion, and spirituality. One cannot bypass Dharma if one wants to lead a life that is worthy of living. Dharma provides quality to human life. Dharma, in other words, takes us to the core of the Indian civilization. In fact, Dharma is polymorphous concept that acquired different meanings in different contexts. However, the fundamental or the law-centered meaning of Dharma remains unchanged. तत्र प्रस्तुतिः वर्तते खलु, अग्रे सरावः, आरम्भे एव तदेव वरम्। पश्यन्तु, मया उक्तं सुखप्रापकः परमार्थसिद्धये द्योतकः धर्मः मानवस्य श्रेयस्साधकः वर्तते इति। धर्मस्यास्य धार्मिकपरम्परायां किं तावत् स्वरूपं, किं च तत् लक्षणं भवति इति प्राचीनैः धर्मस्य स्वरूपम् एवं निगदितं वर्तते। तत्र पश्यन्तु, वस्तुतः धर्मशब्दस्य निष्पत्तिः अनेकरीत्या वयं कर्तुं प्रभवामः। So in Sanskrit language, we can explain the term dharma in n number of ways, because the literature itself is having that. I mean, the etymology of Sanskrit literature is so strong that you can explain or elaborate each and every alphabet with a proper justification, with the proper evidences. But precisely, here you can just refer the 3 simplest definitions of dharma is given. The foremost thing is dharma lakshanam. What is dharma? Dhriyate lokaha anena iti dharmaha. And already I explained in English that dharma means it is derived from the root word dhr. That means dharati dva dharayati lokam iti dharmaha iti dharma shabdasya nishpattihi. अर्थात ध्रियते लोकः यात्रा निर्वाहार्थं वा इति धर्मः इति तत्र धर्मशब्दस्य निष्पत्तिः अथवा धर्मशब्दस्य व्याख्यानं तत्र कर्तुं वयं प्रभवामः। अत्र सारः एवं वर्तते, धर्मशब्दस्य अर्थः येन माध्यमेन लोकानां धारणं संभवेत्, यश्च लोकानां सुनिर्वाहार्थं संसारं धारयेत्, स एव धर्मशब्दार्थः इति, अथवा स एव धर्मशब्दवाच्यः इति। Dharma has its origin found in the Vedic intuition called Rita. Ritam vachmi, satyam vachmi, avatvam mam, avavattaram, avashrotaram. So in Taittiriya Upanishad itself, we see the origin of dharma, which is also termed as Rita. From this moral order or force, dharma has permeated into every form and facet of human life. See, Rita conceptualizes the vision of the Vedic seers of inexorable, unanswering and pervasive natural and moral order prevailing in the reality. Sarveshu shastreshu dharmasya swarupa vimarshe swatantre santi. Swatantre sati vipaschitaha manoho प्राथम्यम् अङ्गीकुर्वन्ति। यतोहि गौतमप्रणीतानि धर्मसूत्राण्यपि मनुमतम् उपस्थाप्य स्वमतं तन्मूलत्वेन उपस्थापयन्ति। अतः सर्वत्र सर्वादौ मनुमतमेव उपस्थाप्यते। मनुः स्वीयमनुस्मृतौ कथयति विद्वद्भिः सेवितः सद्भिः नित्यम् अद्वेषरागिभिः हृदयेन अभ्यनुज्ञातः यो धर्मः तं निबोधत. Now let me summarize this verse. The foremost, or you can consider Manu as the primogenitor of the humans. So Manu, in his Manusmriti, he clearly stated that to whom should dharma, to whom we should preach this concept called dharma. Dharmasya lakshanam vidvadbhi sevitah sadbihi. Arthat vidvadbihi nama veda vidbhireva iti. Vidvadbihi sevitah. That means if you want to have a discussion with a scholar, you should consider that scholar, or you should thoroughly examine that whether he is well versed in all Vedas and Vedangas. Then only you can have a discussion or debate with that scholar. And if he preaches in turn something which you don't know anything about dharma, please accept it. Or if he is not aware of that dharma, then please teach or preach him. Because to understand or to accept all these concepts, Manu clearly states that hridayena abhyanujñātah yo dharmastam nibodhata. Arthat abhimukhyena anukulyena shreyas sadhanatvena anuparamparaya jñātah yaha sayeva dharmaha iti. Evam prakarena dharma paribhashayaha upakramam kurvata vedaha स्पष्टतया वेदे एवं कथितमस्ति वेदो हि धर्ममूलम् इति. अर्थात् वेदोऽखिलो धर्ममूलम् स्मृतिशीले च तद्विदाम् आचारश्चैव साधूनाम् आत्मनस्तुष्टिरेव च इति. अस्य अभिप्रायः एवम् अस्ति, वेद अनुमापकत्वेन च स्मृति आचार अतुष्ट्यादीनां धर्मे प्रामाण्यमपि तेन न अङ्गीकृतम्. तदनुसारम् एतत् चतुर्विधमपि साक्षात् धर्मलक्षणत्वेन मन्यते. See, the Vedic seers could see that there is some immanent teleology in the reality, and this teleology is responsible for every process in reality. Dharma is the base and sustaining power of the entire cosmic reality. In this reality, everything originates in accordance with dharma. It is dharma which roots or which just uproots the evil, or in a simple language, in other words, if I want to say that, dharma as a guiding principle of the cosmos performs multiple functions such as ordering, coordinating, integrating, regulating, etc. Now, let me tell you, see, we do have certain beliefs, but the beliefs are of lesser importance. It is wrongly translated in English that dharma means religion. Dharma is not a religion. Of course, we see n number of books or n number of articles stating that dharma is not a religion. You know why? Because if you refer the definition of dharma, for example, in that presentation, you can see one shloka, Puranan Nyaya Mimamsa Dharma Shastranga Vishritaha Vedaha Sthanani Vidyanam Dharmasya cha Chaturdasha. The 14 basic or fundamental characteristics of dharma. If you see this verse, you can see there is no mention of any caste or creed. See, religion means, of course, we see different dimensions of religion. If you just refer the modern literature or the medieval literature of English, you'll come to know that religion is having different facets. Of course, other than Bharata, elsewhere, the people, they consider that religion means if some evangelist or some monk or some preacher, if he preaches whatever, whatever comes to his mind, if he preaches, and blindly if people they follow, so his preachings are considered as dharma or religion. Sorry, it is not dharma, it is religion. But here, Manu clearly states, if you refer that shloka, you'll come to know, Vedaha smritihi sadacharaha swasya cha priyamatmanaha yetat chaturvidham parahuhu sakshat dharmasya lakshanam. Can you see any word which connects with religion or any caste or any creed? No. Manu, he begins with the term Veda. Veda means knowledge. And dharma is nothing but smriti. That means in ancient times, the revered sages, what they experienced, what they followed, the preachings which are preached in Vedic literature, so the things which came to their mind when they started practicing, and after experiencing certain things in their life, then after getting clarity about something which is not usual, then only they used to preach to others. That means things which speaks about the reality, which comes to their mind, that is called as smriti. So you can refer one shloka to the left-hand side in my presentation. There it is clearly mentioned, Vidvadbhi sevita sadbihi nityam advesha ragibihi. If you want to understand, if you want to accept the concept of dharma, then always you should keep all your misconceptions or pre-assumed thoughts away, and then wholeheartedly you should accept certain things. And it is possible if you are a scholar or if some scholar preaches you in a convincing manner. So that is called as dharma. So let us go to next slide. Let us go to next slide.
Amit,
can we go to next slide? Acha. Okay. See, I must say one thing. Veda anumapakatvena maya kathitam chatvaraha veda dharmagnaha parshat traividyameva va sabrute yam sa dharmasyad eko va adhyatma vittamaha manusmrtau manuna pratipatti madhyamena आचारे शीलम अंतर्भावयता कार्यरूपस्य आचारस्य सर्वानुभव योग्यतया चातुर्विध्यं धर्मलक्षणम् उपसंहारे उक्तमस्ति. पुनरेकवारं कथयामि. There are 4 aspects. पुनश्च आचारः परमो धर्मः इत्युक्त्वापि पुरुषस्य आचरणरूप कर्तव्य विशेषः पृथक् तत्र निर्दिष्टः अस्ति. As I mentioned, the great seers visualized that dharma is the only legitimate and efficacious means to perfection. For example, in Vaisheshika Sutras, the one who introduced Vaisheshika Sutras to us, Maharshi Kanada, he writes that dharma is that which leads to the realization of material prosperity as well as spiritual enhancement. So I repeat, he specifically mentions that it is nothing but spiritual enhancement. So if dharma is practiced properly, it provides us with universal welfare. In the classical Indian Sanskrit literature or in classical Indian literature, concerning intense human longing for cosmic welfare, none can enjoy dharma in isolation from the others in society. especially in the Indian culture, the concept of the other is very, very important. An individual is one among the totality called cooperative living. So this cooperative living is very, very important. We call it as Sahishnuta, Sahacharya, or Sahadharmya. See, even in that word, we can see the word dharma. So that cooperative living plays a very, very key role in Sanskrit literature. If you see, you take any scripture or you take any Itihasa Grantha, whether it is Ramayana or Mahabharata or Ashtadasha Purana, in each and every Purana, Maharshi Badarayana, he clearly states that cooperative living, that means Sahadharmya, is very, very important. And if you, that means, see, the very popular Vedic hymn, which says that Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, even this is also a different phase of Dharma. That means, wholeheartedly, if you consider the entire world is mine, the entire world is my family, then unanimously people respect you as a Sanatani. Therefore, such cooperative living presupposes interdependence and interrelationship among the individuals. It is dharma which ensures such cooperative living. So moving further, in my next presentation, you can see, as I mentioned, there are 10 characteristics, extraordinary characteristics of dharma. Again, previous slide. There are 10 exemplary characteristics of dharma. Again, this statement is stated by Manu. He says, Dhritihi kshama damaha asteyam shaucham indriya nigraha dhihi vidya satyam akrodaha dashakam dharma lakshanam. These are the 10 characteristics of dharma. Again, I repeat, can you see the word jati or any other word today which are popularly coined in other religions? So what I mean to say is, religion cannot be a dharma. Because in this Manusmriti, in this verse, you can see, Dhritihi means dhairyam, that is courage. You should always have courage, bold enough to face the consequences. Kshama, that is tolerance. Damaha, forbearance. Asteyam, that means being very prompt. Shaucham, internally and externally, if you are pure. And indriya nigraha, having command over your senses. Dhihi, that is intuition. Vidya, knowledge. Satyam, truth. Akrodaha, having patience. So these are the 10 characteristics of dharma. So in this presentation, you can clearly see that there are different aspects. To understand the concept of dharma, you should know. Let me give you a simple example. See, as I mentioned, we do have certain beliefs, but the beliefs are of lesser importance. Therefore, always you should experience, or you should always give priority to your experience, because experience has supreme importance, and that experience is not mere individualistic, because it is universal experience. Now, let me tell you, we had forgotten our gender, we had forgotten our caste, we had forgotten our race, we had forgotten our mother tongue, we had forgotten everything. But all of us had one experience when we wake up, that is Sukhamaham Asvapsam. Isn't it? That means I was very happy. I went to bed and I had nothing in my mind. I am fresh. Happiness is the most important, and that is called as universal experience. So this is how this universal experience is taken into account. If all of us see sun, everyone feels that sun is brilliant and shiny above us, isn't it? Nobody will have a second opinion. That way, universal experience is taken into account in Sanatana Dharma, and everything else will fall into its line. And that's why Dharma is a wonderful way to experience, and that wonderful way to realize that. And let me tell you, let us go to next slide. Yes. So these are the aspects of Dharma. Now I am going to elaborate these 5 things in a short time. The very first thing is, the very first aspect of Dharma is the constitutive aspect of Dharma. What is that? Dharma constitutes the constitutive and regulative aspects. That means they are treated as the 2 sides of the same coin. In its constitutive aspect, Dharma is viewed as a law of being, which is the deepest law of our nature, as is held by the commentator Prashastapada on the Vaisheshika Sutras of Kannada. Every padartha has its unique dharma. In other words, it is the dharma that provides individuality to any given entity. For instance, see, magnet has the power of attracting iron, right? It is its dharma. Thus, dharma constitutes the being of things but also sustains them and the cosmos by determining their course of action. Dharma causes self-preservation and evolution of every padartha. The dharma of each padartha further causes self-preservation and evolution of every padartha. So, the dharma of each padartha further enables the preservation and evolution of the cosmos. The dharma thus contributes to Abhyudaya and Nishreyasa. Even in the Bhagavad Gita, there is a reference to dharma in the context of 4 social clauses. 4 social classes. So 4 social classes are called as Chaturvarnyam. It pertains to Swabhava, Guna, and Karma. And I am sure that even Sri Aurobindo emphasized on the same concept by holding that everything has its own dharma and its law of life is imposed on its nature. Though dharma is distinct to each and every individual has to partake in the totality as a member. So the concepts such as Brahma Bhava or Sarvatma Bhava or Buddha Bhava or Ekatma Bhava, so all these bhavas only consolidate the above mentioned view. Each entity has its own dharma, yet it contributes to totality for its sustenance. So precisely, let me conclude the very first aspect by saying that the great Vedic seers envisioned these qualities of dharma with their underlying unity since time immemorial. Therefore, dharma stands for peace, perfection, and beatitude for the entire universe. Peace, perfection, and beatitude must be brought about by humans in a conscious, systematic, and planned manner. Therefore, my friends, they need to exercise the communitarian spirit. Unless men act according to these noble aspirations, there will not be any progress and harmony in this cosmic world. पुनरेकवारं संस्कृतभाषायाम् एवमेव तत्र संक्षेपरूपेण अहं कथयामि. पूर्वमीमांसाकारेण महर्षि जैमिनिना यज्ञादिकर्मणि पुरुषप्रवृत्तिजनकत्वेन स्वर्गरूपलक्ष्यवस्तु च धर्मः उक्तः. अस्य च परिभाषा चोदना इति. धर्मप्रसारं निमित्तीकृत्यैव स्वगृहीतनामा भगवान् जैमिनिः स्वीयग्रन्थारम्भे अथातो धर्मजिज्ञासा इति आरम्भसूत्रेण छात्रान् धर्मजिज्ञासायाम् अभिमुखीकृत्य ततः परं चोदना लक्षण अर्थो धर्मः इति धर्मलक्षणात्मकं द्वितीयं सूत्रं लिखितवान्। पुनरेकवारं संस्मारयामि। अथातो धर्मजिज्ञासा इति आरम्भसूत्रेण छात्रान् धर्मजिज्ञासा अभिमुखीकृत्य ततः परं चोदनालक्षणोऽर्थो धर्मः इति धर्मलक्षणात्मकं द्वितीयं सूत्रं लिखितवान्। तत्र चोदना इति प्रवर्तकशब्दनाम। एवमेव तत्र अन्यशास्त्रदृष्ट्या धर्मलक्षणानि तत्र कथितानि वर्तन्ते। तदनन्तरम् अहं कथयामि। The second aspect, the regulative aspect of dharma. So very first aspect which I discussed was the constitutive aspect of dharma. The second aspect is regulative aspect of dharma. What is regulative aspect of dharma? Dharma is something permanent and yet evolving. Its permanence is represented by its essence, and its evolution is seen in our consciousness. See, there are gradations in our spiritual and ethical life. Technically speaking, in Sanskrit literature, it is called as taratamya, taratama bhava. So, we try to reach the highest law of nature through sadhana. There is evolution in moral consciousness of individuals, and this will continue till perfection is achieved. This is a human ideal. Humans do not remain contented with what is given, but they aspire for what ought to be achieved. Dharma shows the path of self-perfection. Also, individuals having different capabilities have to follow different types of dharma. Sometimes one individual at different phases of one's life has to practice different types of dharma. And these dharmas are classified into swadharmas, varna dharmas, kula dharmas, and yuga dharmas. Pardon me. So the four classifications of dharmas are swadharmas, varna dharmas, kula dharmas, and yuga dharmas. Of course, there are many such dharmas to be practiced by individuals at different stages or different situations. See, our life being too complex, we need to abide by different dharmas in different forms of life. Man lives in society and is governed by the laws of society. And these laws are general dharma. It is called as samanya dharma. Now let me clarify one thing. In English, the term samanya is translated wrongly. Just now I told that. I mentioned samanya is translated as general in English. That is absolutely wrong. Samanya means it is not general. Samanya means universal. I repeat, samanya means not general. Samanya means universal. Therefore, these laws, so which I mentioned, are called as universal dharmas. And individual dharma should not come into conflict with this universal dharma of society. And individual's dharma, as I mentioned, that means there should not be any conflict between universal dharma and individual dharma. Individual dharma is meant for every individual. And later on, it was classified as jati dharma and mata dharma, etc., etc. But, since all these individuals do not possess the same capabilities, there must be a social law to accommodate this variety. Now, let me simplify the same concept. For instance, we have men of knowledge, men of courage, men of intelligence for trade, and craftsmen. They are subjected to different ways of learning and training, isn't it? And they cannot be trained in similar fashion. In each case, perfection differs depending upon one's capabilities. But dharma, it encompasses all these different standards of practice as an ideal of perfection. Therefore, so this ideal of perfection, which is practiced by every individual, is called as, it is termed as regulative aspect of dharma. So this is called as regulative aspect. Now, point number 3. Let us go further. What is dharma? Now let us see in this perspective that dharma as a human value. Dharma as a human value. See, the scope of dharma is so wide and varied that it encompasses the entire forms of life lived by human individuals. It is also held that in the Hindu ethics, we come across 4 important goals of life. Already I mentioned that the 4 important goals of life are, in Sanskrit, it is called as Purusharthas. They are Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha. All these 4 goals are of immense value to human individuals. See, when we just rearrange the order of these Purusharthas as Artha, Kama, Dharma, and Moksha, the first 3 are absolutely necessary for good social life. For example, see, Artha and Kama. These 2 are treated as base values of Dharma, base values, and Dharma is treated as a higher value. See, perfection in human life is the ultimate goal of every individual. Every individual seeks qualitatively good life, isn't it? It is not merely the longer duration of life which is important, but such duration is always needs to be qualitatively good. I repeat, such duration is always needs to be qualitatively good. So this is called as dharma as a human value. Now, let me tell you another important aspect. Itohi matkrite. So I was told, it is clearly, I mean, the instructions were given to me that to speak in Sanskrit as well as in English. Now, the last point. Now, I'll just sum up the last point and then I'll come back to Samskrita. Dharma as a human conduct. See, all our reflections and considerations center around moral and legal dimensions of human conduct. They presuppose a particular view of human conduct in which moral and legal responsibilities are taken care of. For instance, the expression Purusha in Mimamsa is used to refer to the agent of action. The agent of action is not only a doer means karta, but also an enjoyer. The purpose of morality is to ensure virtuous life through proper knowledge and righteousness. Therefore, the agent of action must know first what virtue is and then pursue it with will and capability to realize it. After realizing, he has to cultivate the discipline through which he can achieve it. It is suggested in our ancient scriptures that one requires a 3-pronged strategy to achieve it. And this strategy involves sadhya, sadhana, and iti kartavyata. Actually, I cannot translate literally these terms, but to some extent I can say sadhya can be translated as end. I mean, the strategy which involves a certain end, or which consists or which has a certain end. Sadhana is nothing but means, and itikartavyata is modalities. Now, coming back to the point, dharma in this context stands for virtue and virtuous conduct. It regulates human conduct, and hence it has instrumental value. It is viewed as a means of nishreyasa. Nishreyasa is also termed as moksha. So the state of moksha is technically the state of perfection. And here, dharma also regulates one's desire for artha and kama. It provides a kind of spiritual perspective of these human goals. Therefore, one has to legitimately acquire material kinds, that is, artha, for their legitimate enjoyment. I repeat, kama can be translated as legitimate enjoyment. So both of these goals require a proper and balanced management, and it happens through dharma. If they defy the role of dharma, then they are not purusharthas. See, even in Mahabharata, it is held that artha has economic value. For the equitable distribution of artha, there is a need for dharma. Even kama is also regulated by dharma. For otherwise, there is possibility of men over indulging in that. Also, one's enjoyment of material kind should not be impedant, to social progress and harmony. Therefore, the intervention of dharma becomes very, very important. Now, precisely, let me tell you, before concluding my session, I have to clarify one thing that, see, in Manusmriti, Manu, he clearly states that dharma means dhritihi, kshama, damaha, ahimsa, shaucham, indriya nigraha, dhihi, vidya, etc., etc. That means the very nature of dharma has these 10 qualities, and I'm not going to the details, but I am just quoting that and saying here, nowhere you have a God, a prophet, a holy book, a belief, heaven, hell, kafirs, pagans, nothing is there. Can you see all these words in the shloka where Manu he quotes? Therefore, I have to clarify here, some of the words cannot be translated properly into other languages. And precisely, very interestingly, the definition of dharma is given by Vidura when he gives Upadesha to Dhritarashtra. In one context, he says, what is dharma? Yasmin yatha vartate yo manushyaha, tasmin tatha vartitavyam sa dharmaha. He underlines the statement. That means a person who deals with you, if he is dealt in the same manner, so that behavior is called as dharma. And interestingly, in next two lines he says, Maya charaha mayaya vartitavyaha, sadhvacharaha sadhuna pratyupeyaha. That means a fraudulent should be dealt with fraudulence only, whereas a wise should be dealt in a wise manner. Now the question is, how can Vidura, he says, how can he make this statement that a fraudulent can be dealt? I mean, a fraudulent should be dealt in a fraudulence only. So how can you consider this as a niti? We consider that it is Vidura niti. Niti is nothing but maxim, isn't it? But here, Vidura here, he is provoking us that even you can deal with fraudulence with a fraud. I mean, you can deal in the same manner, then how can we consider it as a dharma? So there in Mahabharata, Swayam, the commentators, they gives explanation for this particular statement. See, actually Vidura, he says that to teach a lesson to the thief, to teach a lesson to a fraud, if you, behave with fraudulence, that is acceptable. That is acceptable. That means to teach a lesson to a person according to his nature, that is permissible. So Mahabharati clearly states, that's why the simplest definition of dharma is mentioned as dharanat dharma ityahuhu dharmo dharayate prajaha. Because it is derived from the word dhr root word. That means that which we bear. If we inculcate certain bad qualities, and it is just going to reflect the nature of our, it is going to reflect. Therefore, the definition of dharma cannot be defined in one way, or the term dharma cannot be translated as religion. It has its own importance and it has its own way to understand. Therefore, let me sum up. I would like to, I think I have another 6 more minutes. So we'll just conclude my session by saying, see, earlier also I mentioned, dharma can be classified as Vishesha Dharma and Samanya Dharma, etc., etc. Now, I would like to conclude by making this statement. See, in Ramayana, it appears that Lord Rama happened to say that if people of this, or if people of his state are happy, he is happy. I repeat, he clearly states, if people of his state are happy, he is happy. And such a state is real, ideal, and welfare state. What else can a ruler expect from his people? Such a state is called Ramarajya. And the same Ramarajya concept was coined by none other than Mahatma Gandhi. Therefore, the whole idea is that by ensuring the happiness of people and their well-being, the ruler ensures his own well-being. A good ruler who rules his state in accordance with the rules of dharma, quote unquote, a ruler who rules his state in accordance with the rules of dharma cannot be displaced by his people. He never allows his people to wage a no trust against him. So, I would like to summarize the whole speech. Dharma has many meanings in many contexts. But in every meaning of dharma, its essence is retained. I repeat, you can define the term dharma in several ways, but the meaning of dharma and its essence is always retained. In the absence of dharma, there is only darkness, even when sun shines. Thus, dharma is regarded as the most pivotal and seminal concept in the Indian culture. The whole living world is under the guidance of dharma. It stands both for means and the end. The path and the goal, what is and what ought to be. It is a concept of perennial universal significance. It is not mere theory or doctrine. I repeat, it is not mere theory or doctrine, but it is a view of reality and the way of life. It is something to be obeyed by all. There is no sphere of existence where there is no dharma. Thus, it is all pervading. It is an ideal, and it is such an ideal which is not utopian. Dharma as an ideal can be translated into concrete reality. The history of humankind is a witness to this eternal truth. Unless dharma is practiced, the life of humankind is going to be a war of all against. It is dharma that makes our life qualitatively livable. Nothing can substitute dharma as an eternal righteous principle. Therefore, even this dharma or the rules relating to dharma is applicable not only for humans, even for deities or for all sadhakas. So I would like to conclude this session by saying few things as a concluding note or epilogue. You can just go to the last slide. The concluding slide. Bipinji.
Amit.
Yes. This is epilogue. Bharatavakyam iti kathyate asmabhihi. Prathamataya tatra Angla-bhashayam kathayami. Dharma, a link between two eternities, the heat to stress the past and future, is as the emphasis on personal and social obligations. Dharma is the basis of the duty to make the 5 great sacrifices. In Sanskrit, traditionally it is called as Pancha Mahayajna. Dharma can be living spirit of globalization. In Mahabharata, it is clearly stated as Dharma is that which holds together the people of the universe. Tatra Dharmashastra Karaha, अर्थात प्रसिद्ध धर्मशास्त्रकाराः तत्र बहवः सन्ति. यदा वयम् अस्माकं शास्त्राणि तत्र पश्यामः, तत्र बौधायनः आसीत्, आचार्यबौधायनः कृष्णयजुर्वेद शाखाध्यायी सुप्रसिद्धः धर्मसूत्रकारः आसीत् इति विज्ञायते. अपि च गौतमः धर्मशास्त्रेषु यावन्त्येव धर्मसूत्राणि सन्ति, प्रायशः तान्येव गौतम धर्मसूत्रेण प्रभावितानि. गौतम धर्मसूत्रं तावत् सामवेदेन सम्बद्धमस्ति. सामवेदेन सम्बद्धं गोभिल गृह्यसूत्रं धर्मसूत्रं चेति गौतमस्य प्रामाण्यम् अङ्गीकुरुतः. तदनन्तरं वसिष्ठः धर्मसूत्रसाहित्याकाशे गौतम बौधायन आपस्तम्बादीनाम् अनन्तरमेव वसिष्ठस्य तत्प्रणीत धर्मसूत्रस्य च सातिशयं महत्त्वं परिलक्ष्यते. तदनन्तरं विष्णुः, धर्मसूत्रकारेषु विष्णुः अत्यन्तं प्रसिद्धः. जीवानन्देन तत्र 670-800तमे क्रिस्ताब्दे धर्मशास्त्रसङ्ग्रहेस्य प्रकाशनं विहितमस्ति. तदनन्तरं मनुः, स्मृतिकारेषु मनोः प्राथम्यं वर्तते एव, जानन्त्येव तत्र भवन्तः सन्तो महान्तः. वर्णाश्रमधर्मप्रतिपादकतया अस्माकं भारतीयानां धर्मप्राणानां प्रामाण्ये मनुस्मृतिनामकः ग्रन्थः सर्वोत्कर्षेण वर्तते. तदनन्तरं याज्ञवल्क्यः, स्मृतिकारेषु योगीश्वरयाज्ञवल्क्यः यथा सुव्यवस्थितः तथैव याज्ञवल्क्यस्मृतिरपि सुव्यवस्थिता वर्तते. वैदिकसाहित्ये याज्ञवल्क्यस्य नाम सुप्रसिद्धमस्ति. अपि च नारदमहर्षिः, याज्ञवल्क्यस्मृतौ पाराशरस्मृतौ च नारदस्मृतेः नामोल्लेखः नास्ति, परञ्च विश्वरूपोद्धृतेषु 10 धर्मशास्त्रकारेषु नारदस्य नाम दृश्यते एव. तदनन्तरं कुल्लूकभट्टः सुप्रसिद्ध स्मृतिग्रन्थस्य मनुस्मृतेः भाष्यकारत्वेन विद्वच्छेखरस्य कुल्लूकभट्टस्य ख्यातिः सर्वजनविदितः अस्ति. तदनन्तरम् अन्ये बहवः स्मृतिकाराः, धर्मशास्त्रव्याख्यातारः बहवः अस्माकं संस्कृतभाषायां ते राराजन्ते. तत्र किं भरतवाक्यरूपेण किञ्चित् वक्तुम् अहम् ईष्टे. धार्मिकपरम्परायां धर्मश्च अस्माभिः सदा अस्माभिः चिन्तनीयः एव। पश्यन्तु, धर्मस्य लक्षणं विभिन्नानां शास्त्रकाराणां मतानुसारं विशेषतया धर्मशास्त्र सिद्धांत अनुसारं संक्षिप्ततया मया आदौ तत्र प्रस्तुतिः मया कृता। तदनन्तरम् अन्येषां शास्त्रकाराणां धर्मलक्षणविषये यानि मतानि विद्यन्ते तान्यपि अत्र संक्षेपतया मया तत्र चिन्तितानि। तदनन्तरं धर्माचार्येषु प्रसिद्धानां बौधायन गौतम वसिष्ठ विष्णु मनु याज्ञवल्क्य नारद इत्यादीनां स्मरणमपि मया अत्र कृतमस्ति। विशिष्टतया रिलिजियन् धर्मः न भवति इति मया तत्र प्रमाण दृष्ट्या प्रमाणानाम् अनुसारेण तत्र मया साधितम्। अतः धर्मस्य विवरणं, धर्मस्य विचारः, धर्मशास्त्रविचारम् अधिकृत्य यदि वक्तुम् अवकाशः प्रदीयते चेत् तर्हि वर्षपर्यन्तं तत्र कथयितुं विषयाः सन्ति। परम् अत्र काल अतीतः न भवति खलु पुरुषः, अतः एकघण्टा परिमितं यावत् तत्र किञ्चित् मया अत्र विवरणं कृतमस्ति। अवकाशं प्रदत्तवद्भ्यः एवमेव अत्र श्रोतृरूपेण ये च अत्र उपस्थिताः सन्ति तेषां कृते पौनः पुन्येन कार्तज्ञं तत्र संसूच्य विरमामि अहं यदवोचमहं तेन प्रीयतां कमलालयः। नमांसि। धन्यवादाः।
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। आपने आज धर्म विषय को लेकर के विस्तार पूर्वक आपने उसके जो इनहेरेंट प्रॉपर्टीज हैं उनको ज्ञापित करते हुए जो प्राचीन शास्त्रों में, प्राचीन शास्त्र कैसा, हमारे सभी शास्त्र प्राचीन ही हैं, उन शास्त्रों में जो वर्णित हैं और व्यावहारिक धरातल पर जो हम चर्चा करते हैं धर्म के स्वरूप को लेकर के, उन सभी संदर्भों को उद्धृत कर आपने बहुत ही विशद व्याख्यान प्रस्तुत और इससे संदर्भित MOOCs के जितने भी पाठ्यक्रम निर्माण हो सकते हैं उन पर भी आपने दृष्टिपात किया। आपको बहुत बहुत आभार। अभी आगे हम बढ़ेंगे उससे पूर्व कुछ सूचनाएं हैं, उसके बाद कुछ प्रश्न हैं, आप सभी जिज्ञासाओं को भी रखेंगे। तो सूचना हम मैं पहले कर लेता हूं क्योंकि लास्ट में ज्यादा समस्या हो जाती है। एक तो ये है कि आप लोगों का जो प्रस्तुति जो है वह अनिवार्य रूप से 26 को होना है, तो 25 को पीपीटी आपका उपलब्ध होना चाहिए और जिस क्रम से हमें पीपीटी प्राप्त होगा सामान्य रूप से वही क्रम रखा जाएगा प्रस्तुति का। तो एक ये हो गया। दूसरा यह है क्योंकि आप लोगों में से बहुत लोगों का निवेदन आया था जो कि एक इंटरेक्टिव सेशन रखा जाए जिसमें कि एक दूसरे से हम परिचित भी हो सकें। तो इसके लिए हम लोगों ने अभी विचार किया और 27 तारीख को, 27 अर्थात शुक्रवार, जिस दिन व्याख्यान भी है 3:30 बजे से, उस दिन 2 to 3:30 जो है ये आपका इंटरेक्टिव सेशन रहेगा। इंटरेक्टिव सेशन का अभिप्राय यहाँ पर इस तरह रहेगा जो कि आपका जो हमारे पास डाटा है उसके आधार पर हम आपका नाम, आपका पद, आपका संस्थान जो है ये हम यहाँ पर संबोधित करेंगे और आप अपना अनुभव 1 से 2 मिनट में, बहुत ज्यादा नहीं टाइम क्योंकि ये लगभग 100 से ऊपर लोग हैं तो विस्तार में नहीं जा सकते हैं हम लोग, 1 से 2 मिनट में आप संक्षेप में अपना अनुभव जो कि आपका इतने दिन का किस तरह का कैसा रहा है उसके आधार पर, या संस्कृत के लिए आप कोई विशेष कार्य कर रहे हैं उसको आप कह सकते हैं। 2 मिनट का टाइम रखेंगे एक प्रत्येक व्यक्ति के लिए। एक सामान्य रूप से हम सभी प्रबुद्ध हैं तो इसमें कहीं समझाने की आवश्यकता नहीं है क्योंकि सभी को अवसर मिलना चाहिए बोलने के लिए। तो उनमें विशेष रूप से हम ध्यान रखेंगे जो नियमित हैं उन्हीं का नाम हम यहाँ पर लेंगे, पहले जो अनुपस्थित है उनका नाम नहीं लेंगे। तो इस दृष्टि से आप सभी 27 तारीख को ठीक 2 बजे आप लोग सादर आमंत्रित हैं, ठीक उसी प्लेटफॉर्म पर, और उसी पर फिर कंटिन्यू हो जाएगा आगे का जो कार्यक्रम रहेगा उस दिन। ये 26 तारीख को आपकी प्रस्तुति है 25 को अनिवार्य रूप से जिस तरह कहा गया है पीपीटी वो आप प्रस्तुत करें। और अभी यहाँ पर सभी एक बार अपना वीडियो अगर ऑन कर लेते हैं तो एक छाया चित्र भी हो जाएगा, और साथ ही जो जिनकी जिज्ञासा है वो जिज्ञासा भी अब आप प्रस्तुत कर सकते हैं। एक बार वीडियो ऑन कर लेंगे सभी इन लोगों का।
नितिन जी,
हाँ जी,
तत्र बहवः प्रश्नाः सन्ति, एवं करोमि, प्रश्नान् स्वीकृत्य तदनन्तरम् उत्तरम् उत्तारयितुं शक्यते वा?
तदेव वरं भविष्यति। तो
हाँ।
एकवारं प्रश्नान् वीक्ष्य
हाँ।
साकल्येन उत्तरं भवेत् इति अस्ति।
हाँ।
अत्र चाट् बाक्स् मध्ये प्रश्नाः सन्ति।
बहवः सन्ति प्रश्नाः, अतः तदनन्तरं किं वाय्स् रूपेण प्रेषयिष्यामि वा, अथवा नो चेत् अत्रैव उत्तरं दातुम् अवकाशः
भवेत्। तस्मात् पूर्वम् अत्र अस्माकं विभागाध्यक्षाः सन्ति, किञ्चित् उद्बोधनं करिष्यन्ति। एवम् अस्ति। महोदय,
yes.
हाँ सर।
Thank you, Dr. Bipin. After a long time, I think I happened to listen to such an excellent lecture. So I'm so thankful to Dr. Sumanji, and really it was a scholarly lecture and has created.
Mahoday, Dr. Sunil
Suman. Dr. Suman K. Saheb.
Sunil K.
Sunil K. Last time I met, but I just got confused with the. We have two Suman K. So there was some problem, some confusion. But the lecture was so excellent, and it has really raised several questions. My first question is very simple. That basically you explained beautifully the difference between the system between dharma and religion / mazhab. That you explained beautiful. And secondly, that basically what are the sources of dharma, because the sources of religion basically is well defined. That is available in one book. That is a book system. One book system. That either it is Quran, or it is Bible, or it is Torah. So that is the one book and has been translated into different languages. But the dharma tradition has its sources, at different places. So what are the sources of dharma?
Very simple, sir. As I mentioned, the very definition, etymologically we can say that dharma means that which we inculcate, that which we follow, that which we bear. If we inculcate certain good qualities, coin it as a dharma. If we practice certain bad qualities or being influenced by certain bad qualities, it is termed as adharma. So this is the simplest way how we can just put forth the definition or the explanation of dharma. But religion is not like that. Of course, religion, the term religion is used in a different context. But it is so unfortunate that dharma is translated as religion. As I quoted shlokas from Manusmriti as well as from Mahabharata, the 10 the fundamental characteristics of dharma, as I quoted dhritihi, kshama, etc., in that shloka, Manu, he clearly stated that the fundamental characteristics which a person should necessarily inculcate, if he practice it, if he know the actual meaning of all those characteristics, that itself is called as dharma. Therefore, rather than referring the scriptures, first and foremost thing is, first our behavior must be very clear. I mean, if it is having the clarity about our behavior, then clearly we can understand what is dharma. And when we are going to refer relating to dharma, when we are going to refer the scriptures, if I want to know more and more about dharma, then if we refer all our ancient scriptures, even in ancient scriptures, it is clearly mentioned that there is no exact definition. Let me give you a simple example. Amongst 5 Pandavas, the eldest one was Dharmaraja, whom we recognize, whom we consider that he is a replica or embodiment of or reincarnation of Lord Yama, right? And in Mahabharata, in several incidents, Dharmaraja was questioned by none other than his own wife called Draupadi. As you know that in that Vastrabharana Prasanga, other than Bhimasena, none of the Pandavas, either they responded or they expressed their grief. And after some time, Draupadi, he questions Dharmaraja, people praise you as an epitome of dharma, then where that dharma has gone? When a lady is humiliated, being a form of dharma or being a knower of dharma, why you are not questioning? Or why didn't you respond to this particular incident? Why didn't you help me in that incident? When this question was raised, their Dharmaraja, he gives beautiful explanation. He says, see, for me, the elders or the scholarly people are Bhishma, Drona, Kripa, and others. Of course, Bhishmacharya is considered as Kurukula Prapitamaha. Being the eldest and being the very disciple of Parashurama, who learnt all Shastra and Shastrabhyasa from Parashurama, when he is silent, I should not poke. Of course, being a husband of Draupadi, why I didn't show my intervention or why I didn't express my grief or why I didn't raise my voice. The reason is very simple. When there are elders, being a very close associate to any person, I should not voice or I should not raise my voice amidst elders. This is called as dharma. Therefore, such references we see in Ramayana and Mahabharata, where dharma has taken the form of incidents. Rather than going through with all anecdotes or analogies, dharma is portrayed as incident. In certain, in several parts of our ancient scriptures, we see dharma is also conceptualized as a particular, definition. But here, dharma, that's why I told that dharma cannot be explained in one way. But whereas
it's really very good example you have given. In Mahabharata, now they talk about Apad Dharma, then they talk about Vrihad Dharma, and they talk about Laghu Dharma. And what Krishna says that for bigger dharma, for Vrihad Dharma, even Laghu Dharma can be sacrificed.
Yes.
And Apad Dharma, even if there is no rule and there is certain emergent circumstances, then you have to take decision as per that circumstances.
Exactly.
So that is also dharma.
Yes. See, let me just give you one simple example. For example, Apad Dharma, see, it is clearly stated that without taking a bath, one should not consume food in Dharma Shastra. Suppose if I am traveling, from Bangalore to Delhi, it takes 36 hours. So where can I take bath in train? So there, Dharma Shastra has given some exemptions. Because in our right ear, we believe that river Ganga or the Ganga's Sannidhana is seen or experienced in right ear. Therefore, if you just make Shrotra Chamana or if you just do the sparsha of your right earlobe, consider that itself is having a bath. So this is called as Apad Dharma. So likewise, there is Mahad Dharma and there is Apad Dharma. So as Shriman Ripusudan Singh Ji clearly stated, there are Mahad Dharmas and there are Apad Dharmas. But when there is, facilities are there we should not go with Apad Dharmas.
Yes.
There we should not go with Apad. Apad Dharma is meant only for if the things or if the circumstances are beyond our imagination, or if it is not in our hands, then only we should go with apadharma. Thank you very much, sir.
And that
Right.
was the circumstances when this Karna becomes armless, and then Arjun decide not to kill because it was against the dharma. Then
Yes.
Krishna reminds him about
Yes.
another incident, and then he says that for bigger dharma you will have to sacrifice a smaller dharma, and now this is the opportune time to finish this, because the killing of Karna will be as per the dharma, because you are going to uphold bigger dharma.
Also,
So anyway,
also,
it was great lecture.
thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Also, there Mahabharata in Guhya Bhasha, it speaks about the history of Karna, saying that in his previous Janma, Karna was called as Sahasravarmi. He had 1,000 armors. So already Nara and Narayana, these two had taken out 999 armors. So the only one which was left with Karna was taken by Jaya and Vijaya. I mean, the same Nara and Narayana appeared as Krishna and Arjuna. As you all know that Vijaya means
Yes.
Arjuna, Jaya means Jayo Nama Krishna. So they just, the reason for killing Karna at that juncture is he just wanted to slay that Sahasravarmi. So thank you very much for reminding such a amazing or interesting incident, sir. I'm indebted.
Nani, now we will like to deliver. We'll request you to deliver some other day a very good lecture. I mean, a lecture on dharma. It was really enlightening.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Gradually, this lecture is going too much interesting, but we have limitations, so we need
Time
to
is strained.
stop here. यहाँ पर हम देख रहे हैं कि दो लोगों ने हैंड रेज किया हुआ है। संक्षेप में आप अपना प्रश्न या जिज्ञासा जो भी है वो रखें, क्योंकि 4:48 हो रहा है और 5 बजे से दूसरी कक्षा है, तो 7 मिनट में हमें कंक्लूड करना है। मैत्रेयी शर्मा पहले इनका प्रश्न लेते हैं, उसके बाद कुलदीप शुक्ला जी आपका प्रश्न। मैत्रेयी शर्मा।
जी सर।
हाँ जी।
मेरा जो हाँ नमस्ते सर। मेरा जो जिज्ञासा था वो था सर कि सोर्सेस ऑफ धर्म, जो कि अभी रिपोजिटरी सर ने आपसे क्लियरली बहुत सारा वो एग्जांपल दिया है आपने सर। तो मेरा वो जो डाउट था सर, जो सोर्स है आपने बताया, वो द्रौपदी का जो वो धर्मराज के पुत्र युधिष्ठिर के साथ वार्तालाप हुआ उस समय, तो बहुत अच्छी तरह से आपने समझाया सर। तो मेरा वो जो सोर्स के बारे में मेरा क्वेश्चन थी,
महाभारत
तो
में।
वो अभी क्लियर हो गया सर। हाँ महाभारत में।
हाँ। महाभारत में है और हरिवंश पुराण में भी है।
हाँ, कुलदीप शुक्ला जी।
हाँ,
थैंक यू सर।
कुलदीप शुक्ला जी आपका प्रश्न।
जी सादर प्रणाम सर।
नमस्ते।
एक बात आपने शायद इंटरवेंशन नाम लिया था क्या सर? मुझे सुनाई पड़ा इंटरवेंशन।
हाँ,
धर्म का इंटरवेंशन किया जाए।
हाँ,
तो सर हम जानना चाहते हैं कि इंटरवेंशन हम कैसे करें? जी।
हाँ, जब भी धर्मों के बारे में।
सुनील महोदय, एक प्रश्न इनका भी है, मूलचंद शुक्ला जी का, इनका भी ले लेंगे, दोनों का एक साथ उत्तर देंगे। मूलचंद शुक्ला जी अनम्यूट करेंगे।
जी कि हम लगभग सामान्य रूप से तो हमने अभी पढ़ लिया कि प्राचीन ही प्रोक्तम धर्म स्वरूपम तदाधारितम मोक्ष पाठ्यक्रम निर्माणम, परंच किम अत्रापि साहित्य संदर्भाः यदा तत्र छंदांसी अलंकाराः अथवा इत्यादि निदीयन्ते तत्र किम अत्रापि दातुं शक्यन्ते वा?
अवश्यं। तदेव तत्र मया पर्यवसान संदर्भे मया कथितं, जैमिनिना अपि च नारदेन अपि च मनुना स्वीय स्मृति ग्रंथेषु धर्मस्य स्वरूपं विवेचनावसरे विभिन्न रूपाणि तत्र प्रतिपादितानि सन्ति। विभिन्न रूपेण तत्र धर्मस्य स्वरूपं तैः प्रतिपादितम् अस्ति।
मम प्रश्नः एवम् अस्ति यत् विविधैः आचार्यैः प्राचीनैः अर्वाचीनैश्च धर्मस्वरूपं स्वस्वग्रन्थेषु तत्र निगदितं वर्तते, परञ्च किं मुख्यरूपेण यदा वयं श्रोतांसि उद्धार्य उदाहरण रूपेण मने प्रस्तुमः तदानीं किम् अत्र छन्दांसि अपि भवन्ति यस्मिन् कस्मिन् अपि येषु केषु अपि श्रोतांसि
अवश्यम् अवश्यं
श्रोतेषु तत्र छन्दांसि अपि भवन्ति तत्र अलङ्काराः अपि भवन्ति।
मूलचन्द्र महोदय उत्तरं भवेत् सम्प्रति यतोहि समयस्य अभावः वर्तते खलु।
जी
अवश्यं
किं तत्र अत्रापि दातुं शक्यन्ते वा?
अवश्यम् अवश्यं दातुं शक्नुमः वयं।
जी जी जी।
परन्तु तत्र समयाभावात् वस्तुतः मम प्रस्तुतिः वर्तते सुदीर्घरूपेण आहत्य 15 पृष्ठात्मकं तत्र दीर्घप्रबन्धमस्ति। अहं प्रेषयिष्यामि श्रीयुत बिपिन् महोदयं प्रति, कृपया तद् अवलोकनं कुर्वन्तु। तस्मिन् तत्र महाप्रबन्धे सर्वमपि यथा मूलचन्द्र शुक्ल महाभागेन तत्र प्रश्नः उत्तारितः, तस्य प्रश्नस्य उत्तरं तत्रापि वर्तते।
इंटरवेंशन इत्यस्यापि प्रश्नः
इंटरवेंशन इत्यस्यापि इंटरवेंशन अवश्यं तत्र करणीयमेव। यतोहि
एकं करोमि महोदय, अहं भवदीय दूरवाणी संख्यां ददामि कुलदीप शुक्ल महोदयेभ्यः। ते साक्षात् दूरवाणीं करिष्यन्ति, यतोहि साक्षात् एतस्य समापनं करणीयम् अस्ति। यतोहि 5:15 पुनः अग्रिमा कक्षा अस्ति, तो तत्रापि जॉइन करणीयम् अस्ति। तस्मात् कारणात् एकतन्त्रेण सर्वेषाम् अत्र धन्यवादान् व्याहृत्य अत्रैव विरामः भवेत् इति अनुज्ञां याचे। यतोहि अतिथीनाम् अत्र आगमनम् अस्ति, साक्षात् संत्यज्य गन्तुं नैव शक्यते। एतस्मात् कारणात् अनुज्ञां स्वीकृत्य एव विरामः भवति। नमः सर्वेभ्यो धन्यवादाः।
अत्यन्तं रुचिकरं व्याख्यानमासीत्।
धन्यवादाः।